Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully, volume will be fine and everything. Make sure that my stream is nice and happy. You get to see uh, my OBS here while I go and do my tags and telling everybody that the stream is up. We will be starting with Owl Preds, which I'll actually just go to right now. Stream ping. We're live. Woo! Drop this in next to Spylus. Dun, 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 dun. Link in self promo. None Overwatch University. And that's that. No idea if I'll be getting any viewers today, but we'll roll with it all the same because I'm pretty excited for the VOD. I'll probably edit. Actually, no, I probably won't edit those. So if you're here watching this, Manek, thank you for giving Cease to VOD through him to get to me. It was a very good VOD to look at, and we'll be getting to that probably in around 20-30 minutes. I'll drop a timestamp though in the video for whenever that is that I get to your VOD. So, all right, let's get cracking. So, we have the owl standings. I am going to try to be looking at this through several factors. Hold up, I have to pull up a document. Meta. Read the meta. Okay. So, I am assuming that we're going to still be starting with Koth maps because I think that it's the most fair way generally to start the modes. So I think we'll be seeing control map, and then I don't know if push will be second or third, but I would imagine that push mode would be in the first three because they'll probably want to give it as much footage time as possible. It's possible that they would shoehorn it to the fourth map if they don't really want to have an untested mode in their locked-in set. But I would imagine that they would like the publicity, or at least like the pro visual play. So we'll assume Koth, push, hybrid, escort, and kind of go off of that. I think so. Koth will probably still favor brawling and mobility just by nature of having the point, especially the brawling. So I think Reaper is going to be like very common, for example. Hybrid should favor some mix. Escort usually favors longer range or mobility. Meta should slow down as we go through this tournament cycle. And yeah, I decided to not do my full meta analysis thing I was looking at because it's just really messy. But here we are. Okay. Glads versus NYXL. So I have, let's see, Glad's lineup was Space, Custer, Shoot, Skewed, Funny Astro, Ons, Reiner, Patafan. I think obviously Kevster. We'll have to actually see if Patafon how like much he gets used. I don't love them as a team for Koth, but then NYXL, I'm not actually a huge fan of that either for them. Let's see where are they? Excelsior, Floria. Actually, I like them better than Glads on Koth, so I'm gonna say 1-3. I think I favor Glads winning the broader series though. Rain versus Mayhem. Mayhem was. That's definitely going. That's definitely a Rain win. Could they take a map? Koth. Hydron has a sick Reaper, but and a sick Tracer, both of which are strong heroes on Koth. But I don't think I like their chances enough over like in the tank department. Not, I mean, I haven't seen someone. Adam is good, but I don't favor him over Gators. I'm just say 3-0. 3-0. I also am going to be heavily favoring mechanical talent in this first tournament cycle because I think teams aren't going to be as strategically well versed in Overwatch 2. Even though the fundamentals stay the same, people are going to be very scattered in their hero picks, and I think the teams are, and they're going to be less familiar with the maps potentially even, despite scrimming them. So we'll probably see a lot of like for example Shanghai versus Hunters. I actually favor Hunters mechanically over Dragons. Leave and Lip are very comparable. I think Lip maybe actually a little more so than Leave, but I would take tentatively. I think Aprita probably can match Fleta. I would take Gaga over Fate, or probably over Void. Void is very good, don't get me wrong, but his sensitivity is so wonky that I don't actually feel like his mechanics are maybe as good, but we'll see. Um, I mean, really that could go either way, but I also expect Dragons to fumble earlier on in the season again. So Spark versus Valiant, that should be Spark, because Valiant haven't been together for very long. Really, they shouldn't even take a map off yet. Valiant shouldn't really kick into gear until later in the season. That could be an interesting close one. Maybe they can take a map there. I think this could be interesting. I'll say 2. I do rate Spitfire above Titans, but Titans are very strong players mechanically, so I think that they take that lead. Oh wait, Mayhem is, yeah, right, it's not the same Mayhem. Mayhem gets 2, that's seem right. Actually, no, I think I favor Mayhem here, but it should be a close game. Gosh, whoever knows with Charge versus Spark. That should be a 3-0. This should be 3-2. That should be probably 3-0. 3-0. I'll be bold. I'll say Paris. Actually, no, that's a 0. 3, 2. How much do I favor Smurf versus Gaga if they're both on off tanks? Probably goes in Smurf's favor. You know, I'll just say I'll say 2. I'll say 2 because I don't actually have much confidence in Soul's backline now that Jonak is out of the picture. And I think they're not going to have enough playmaking coming out from there. Sorry, Spylo there, but I think I favor Pelican. Defiant versus Uprising. That's going to be the interesting one, if I'm honest. I think Defiant take it. So that's all those. Now we go down this way. 3, 0, 3, 0, 1. I think I like Outlaws better in the mirror, actually. Might be a little bold to say. Or mirror being like the two Texas teams. Because I think Merit and Pelican are going to be phenomenal. This should be 3, 1. Maybe they could get 2 maps. Outlaws versus Defiant. I mean, Hisu is pretty comparable to Merit Pelican is probably better than Hisu, although I take Piggy over Muse probably in this first meta. I'll ride with Outlaws. 3, 0, 3, 2. I wouldn't be surprised actually if that goes in. No, that still probably should be shock. 3, say 1. Ooh, this will be interesting. Should go in Fuel's favor. 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 3. No, that should be like 1, 3. Yeah, probably 0 if I'm honest. 3, 0. And Glads win the hybrid map. Yeah, I should really get rid of that sorry not watching chat notice. I am watching chat. Yeah. 3, 1. Toronto versus NYXL could be really interesting too. And that should be it. So I would have Hunters, Dragons, Dynasty, Fusion. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy. Yeah. So, I it might seem a little bold here, but I think that Dragons are gonna drop the ball earlier in the season, and I actually favor Hunters a little bit mechanically on their DPS line over over Shanghai, specifically in the regards of Fleta. I think people overrate Fleta's mechanics a little much because not saying that Fleta doesn't have sick mechanics, but he has definite limits on it and it doesn't have that same sharpness of like really, really talented players mechanically. So, and like backline, obviously I would favor Lee Jae-gon, but I don't see main support being as much playmaking opportunities here. Um, yeah, basically. And like Fleta, of course, he gets to where he is because he's, for the most part, a very flexible and very disciplined player, but he's not nearly as dynamic. Like he's very good, but he's not going to carry your games generally anymore. And maybe that's just me just being a little cynical, right? But I think I would favor, especially it depends on how Aperta actually looks, but from what I know and have seen, Aperta looks very, very, very good. And like I'm confident that he has that that like aggressive hunger and talent to really stick it to Dragons. Of course, Dragons I think will probably ramp up later in the season, but yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think my overall Preds here, this I haven't updated this since 2.15. I started these back in like January, but it's just like my Preds about Overwatch 2 in general and stuff. I think it's gonna be Shock or Dallas taking home the grand finals, but we'll see. A lot of people are like, there we go. A lot of people say that like, oh yeah, Shock was why is my stream not happy? Cancel. Yes. My Streamlabs is so unhappy right now because I tried to delete something in it. There we go. But basically I think I think that Shock has knowledge of what a winning culture looks like in a way that doesn't really make it that far-fetched for them to have another win. And I think proper with either Sam or Kilo, I think they're gonna look really, really like dangerously good. But we'll see. Okay, almost exactly 18 minutes in, right on schedule, and we'll be getting into this 4.5K off-tank VOD. Give me 1 second. I want to see if I can change a settings on the chat box. Yeah, I can't, so I'll just make it smaller. Well, whatever. That's finicky. Okay, time to actually get started. This is VOD 4.5K from HPF HTP fan 01, also known as Manic, Off-Tank from the champion team of the Overwatch Empowerment Cup. I will now be, for the most part, directly talking to you, assuming that you are watching this back as a VOD in YouTube. Of course, if Ceased wants to ask any questions or comment, he can feel free, or if anyone else stops in, hopefully they can ask, comment, etc. So, thank you for sending in the VOD, and hopefully I can provide some thoughts on it. It was very useful for me. So, if I had to say one thing right at the start about your play, it is beautifully reckless, and I absolutely loved watching it. It's there's definitely things to work on, of course, but I can very much see that you've put a lot of like work in on top of just like a day after day, and I think that like that effort really shows in your play. So biggest concern with off-tank is always going to be how are you going to enforce the space that your team has and amplify it, enhance it, enforce and enhance. So right off the bat, you're doing stuff that I really like here because you're taking in this first, like crossing towards arch here. That was something that caught my attention. I think I would have wanted maybe to just spy check a little more here before moving on because you did see the Sombra presumably. I think it's good that you hit a glance over to just check that nobody had the long angle on you, but considering you're isolating yourself, you should keep eyes on that Sombra because things like this happen, and if their team was a little sharper on that, you could have been punished pretty hard. Very good. I don't strictly think you needed to drop there. And so the reason that I'm saying is this is going to be the concept I'm basically going to be talking about for the vast majority of this VOD that I saw. It's going to be matching your team's aggression. And I'm so sure that this is something that you are probably already familiar with, and that's a-okay. I think that, but it's something I think you need to work on as your most important practice point. Because you seem like I think you enjoy going in aggressively and making plays, but I don't think your team is often ready to support that level of aggression. Because for example here, you can probably just sit here whittling down these guys, or actually, I think we saw that the Hanzo was down there, right? No. But if we were here, we could probably hear him and at least try and rebound some shots down onto him, or whittle down the bat, or even just double back a little bit and drop a little further and then loop this way, right? Because we're trying to keep that map control and enhance it. So here, we're wanting to be on this angle, but obviously still close enough that we can support front line. But by dropping here, even before you got hooked, and we're that deep in, even right here, is your team ready to use this space at all? Your Zen is way back here. Your Arisa is not ready to like go in and hold that space yet. She has a I don't even think her shield cooldown is ready. Maybe I'm mistaken on this. I didn't check this. Yeah, her shield cooldown is not ready. And yeah, you wouldn't know that for sure, but if you watched her for a little bit, you could kind of get a read on that. Your Hanzo is maybe the only one ready to use that. So by dropping here, you're going in way more aggro than your team is really ready and wanting to support. Because I know like there's a very fine line between playmaking and improvisation that favors the team. And this is a very difficult thing for most people is improvising with teammates, especially if they're random teammates on ladder. And it's a very important talent, of course. Well, not even talent, it's a skill because you can develop it. But you have to get a read for kind of the desires of what they're looking to do. Because here, your lamp is down, your horse, I believe she had to fortify to try and body block for you. Yeah, and she's now shielding probably too. Orb is probably on you. Hanzo storm arrowing to try and give cover. Like, like you're forcing your team to play aggro here and invest resources when they were not looking to do that. And it's not to say that you can't be aggro, they can be leading the aggression. But I want you to pay attention to when you're forcing your team to do something versus when they're naturally in position and ready to do it. So like this now is good aggro because you're starting to put a pin on these guys. You have some map control starting to show up, right? Zen has an angle. Widow has an angle. Orisa is moving up to around here as well as the cart. Bap has an angle up here and can heal you, right? So now you're actually starting to take and push into the space that your team wants right now. Beautiful. Take out the Tangle threat. It's unfortunate that you get picked off by the Hanzo there. Kind of the way that you would resolve that is right now your angle isolation is really poor. And while I didn't like mention it at first because I care more about the principle rather than the micro execution, ideally I would rather just have you going in through here, place the shield diagonally right here to wall off that and a little bit of the Zen, and force the Zen up the stairs a bit. Because from there, you can kind of just ricochet off the doorway and you'll probably still kill him. Because you should be able to land 2 shots on him outside, 1 shot around here, and maybe get the bounce kill. Because it's specifically because you put this shield on this angle where it's not actually useful for protecting against these guys, and it's not really useful for protecting against the Zen. That's why you're getting hammered here. And because you're trying to move in close for the finish versus staying in the doorway where you have that angle isolation. So you got to choose one or the other, or both. Fix the shield placement or be in the isolated angle of the doorway. But even then, that aggro was still useful for your team. Because you took that space out, you pressured the Zen, your team was able to capture. Check. Team aggro, check. Can we follow up? Zen, he's kind of happy to poke here. He's not going to want to brawl down there. Widow is happy where she is. Yeah, team can do some things, right? I still don't think we want to like chase the hog or anything because then we're putting ourselves, remember that angle isolation? If we put ourselves down here, we're under fire from the hog and these guys from 2 different angles. If we're up here, or even if we rotate to here and put a shield down to just kind of poke at the hog, you're still able to shield against both. So your options are either stay up here, don't commit, or you can actually rotate down to here and then place the shield here. Like you can rotate down to here, place shield, poke at the hog, poke at these guys a little bit, and then withdraw to here to restore the shield. And then you can either actually hard flank this way, or you can just rotate back up to the top. Zero chance though that you want to pursue the hog. And like I'm saying, it's a miracle if you survive this. I don't remember if you do or not. But right now, their Zen should be all over you, and just the Zen and Hog together should be enough because the Zen does not have to worry about your snipers or even your Zen. He can isolate this angle, right? He only has to look at you because your team is not in position to threaten up here at all, or even here. So take it as you will. You should be dead here. And like you're basically on the like getting by on like the flying by the seat of your pants here because literally with Hog because I believe I want to see where your DPS find their opportunities for the kills. Sombra just kinds of feeds. Where's your Widow find the opportunity? poor angle isolation from the Zen. Yeah, so basically you just like your team is getting the picks here off of a pure fluke. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that you were doing this a little too shoot, like I said, like I really love the initiative and the aggression and it's like a beautiful thing to watch, but you almost give me heart attacks for a lot of this game. Here, very good, right? Because Orisa is going to be joining you up here. Bap can heal you from here with just some hops. Zen has the sight line as long as you back up a little bit if needed. Widow, Hanzo have sight lines here and here. Very, very, very good. You also could just hold here if you wanted to be a little less committed balls to the walls. But it's an option, right? And this would be to filter out people into here for your snipers. Because as is, your snipers actually can't get any value. So right now, you're actually taking like a 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish. So it's not like a super favorable fight compared to if you let them into space for your snipers a little bit. But it's not bad, right? Because we like holding these chokes where we can hit those bounces and not have to worry about getting rolled. I liked that attempt at an eat a lot. That was a very good attempt at that. Good flux, in my opinion. I think this is so. Hey, Alendiel, nice of you to stop by. I appreciate it. This is so ridiculously aggressive from you. I know, like, I don't know if you're trying to, like, if you were not expecting trance and hoped that they would just land on your head for the kill, or if, I mean, does their hog, I assume you know their hog doesn't have hook because he just hooked you. Sig isn't here yet, quite yet, but he does have rock, so if he was inside, you would have been in danger. I assume you read those things, but even then, you're just assuming that this Hanzo doesn't just roll you. He can easily kill you if you like this dude should have Storm Arrow, right? Yeah, he has Storm Arrow. So if he is looking at you and Hog shoots you like with one good shot, you are probably dead here. Like I think you probably would have rather like realistically, once again we end up with this issue of this is a space that your team can't follow up in. They can't match that aggro. They're not designed for it. You're playing double sniper. So when your team is here, unless you have someone like flanking through here or up here, that flux isn't something that you're actually looking to get kills off of and follow up off. Yeah, time the aggro instead of forcing it, because once your team can reasonably make something happen, like you have to play for where your team can play. It's a very delicate balance. And usually it's something that I don't try and pound as much into people, except that this is a 4.5k player who I know has the self criticality and understanding of the game to really like see why this is so important. Because, for example, like this flux, there's no way that you're using this expecting to get kills. Zero chance. They have ammo. Yeah, this is 4.5k, Elendil. So you're not expecting kills here. You're using Flux on their whole team. Your team can't follow up. You are in here deep. I think you would have wanted it to just force resources like Trance. You could have, or just to stall them out. So I think you would have gone for the Flux, backed up, hitting a couple bounce shots maybe to try and see if you could take out the lamp, take out someone, and then go for here. Because soon they're going to be bursting out looking for a play on point, at least in all probability, and you want your snipers to be able to leverage their strength. Like that, yeah, so you do die for it. And that was a super needless death. Because, for example, if you were still here now, this would be super free to just poke at. You can isolate the angle from right here, and you would basically farm those two. And then from there, you can actually rotate around to take their spot and pummel their Zen, or you can rotate back to stack with your Orisa. But either way, like, you were nightmarishly aggressive there. I I'm not sure, but I if you care to let me know later, um, are you a diva main, I assume, because or at least play her more than Sigma because it looked more comfortable. Maybe that's just me like clowning, but either way, it's an interesting swap. I assume you did it because you're a winnable fight and want to just get back fast or something. But also, I don't mind the pick. It's a little strange because they're so poke heavy, and usually Diva you're gonna pick for like those high grounds or anti-dive, and she's gonna have like a hard time closing the distance here safely. But with good pathing, she can work here. And yeah, for the most part, I believe I remember you do have pretty good pathing and mechanics on her here. Like once again though, team ready for this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Orisa put down her shield on the corner. Zen isn't even over here. Hanzo's in spawn. I think Widow died as you were doing it. But even just not having like your Zen around the corner, well, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. That's forgivable, right? Because he can go around the corner. But let's take a closer look here at this. This is good. Very good. This is very good, pulling back and helping your Widow out with the duel. This, phenomenal. And that was beautiful Matrix timing, by the way. I know it's like kind of stupid to say it when it was just on like a hog shot, but still, I just want to appreciate it. But this, like you're assuming he's isolated, but that angle isolation again, angle isolation and aggro, no angle isolation from these two. You're not respecting this Hanzo and Sig at all, or the Sombra who you didn't know. I don't know if you actually like saw the blip at the start when she was going in Wraith. Even if you didn't, fact is that you didn't know where she was, which should concern you about going in very deep in aggro. You cannot go deep aggro solo with a Sombra that you don't know where she is, because that's a death sentence. Yeah, basically a Lendiel. Like that is as far as I can tell, yeah. And it's like an understandable thing, right? Is you get the 2 kills, you're like, let's go, right? And clean up the fight. Let's W key in. But you cannot get sloppy like that. You have to keep watching the team's pacing. So like right here, the your widow is dead. Yeah, sure, it looks winnable. But if it's winnable, then what you're gonna want to do here is actually loop around this way to try and make sure that this map control is reestablished and poke this out from isolated, like the BAP or whatever from here, rather than sprint across the open space to him. Or you could actually even go through here and go down to here to go after him. Because you don't have to get the kill. You just have to harass him enough to stay alive. Because then if you did, so yeah, your Zen actually wasn't even in position when you went in. So gotta watch the team situation. I do love though that you still pistol down the bat. Yeah, team loses that fight. Not really surprising. Good cover on the Widow. Pop quiz. First East Deal, and I guess you if you're watching this back. What are you going to be looking to do during this fight? Give a moment. You can pause whatever. Give an answer. Couple moment. I'll give a 3D view here. Then you can think about the matchup specifically. We do know that they have EMP for all practical purposes. We should know that. We know that they have some people here. Definitely the SIG, and I believe we saw the break, but definitely the SIG. We saw, I think we saw Hanzo over there. Maybe not. But either way, we know some people here. We can assume that there's other people on the other side because the team should be playing split. Anyways, now that you've put in some thought, basically, heck if I know what we're going to be doing this fight, but I want you to be doing it on the edges of the map and probably, yeah, to help the team rotate. Elendil cut me off. Yeah, spy checking is very helpful here. Your basic, so what I expect would happen in this fight in an ideal situation is uh I don't mind the distillery high ground, but the problem is it's once again very exposed to angles. So it's probably not that useful, but during the mid fight you probably could take it for a better matrixing angle. It's an option. It's not like a super relevant position right now in this matchup because they don't actually have much people like really wanting to use this space and it doesn't give you that much relevant access. My guess is we engage to here, they're gonna look to EMPS. We're gonna want to I in an ideal world we can like loop around this way, dodge the EMP, get some distraction, etc. But basically, we're gonna want to find a way to just absorb the blow of the EMP, right? And then I'm gonna want you specifically rotating around to help your team either rotate into edges of the map or just clear out edges of the map in general. You can't really solo flank into the ball Sombra. Remember, we can't solo flank with Sombra, but we can move around there. Yeah, you can scout where they're set up from the gas tanks. Yeah, you're right. I don't mind that actually. I think that's actually fair because I don't believe we know for sure where the Hanzo and Ball are, so we would have some better eyes on that. It's not really necessary because you can assume a lot of it, but yeah, it helps to know. There's the MP, and team kind of just crumbled. I don't think like there weren't like major. Yeah, have the Sombra headshot the Widow. Unfortunately, I think like I don't know why like the dragons made this really unfortunate. It's too much frontlining in an ideal situation. But then the problem is if you're in a situation where they use the MP and dragons, you're just needing to absorb as much attention for your team as possible and hopefully survive. Because like so like right here, this is when we need to be assuming that they're going to EMP, right? As soon as our Orisa shields, I believe, or okay, so window. As soon as window is invested, that's now like the engagement time, and that's when they're gonna look to EMP. So right here, you would actually assume that you would look back here, assume that she's gonna EMP. I would ideally want to just try and body block like really lightly here, but I think they actually cast the dragons first, and that's what makes things very messy. So of course you were very aggro here from the start, like you're very much in a W key mindset when you shouldn't be because of the EMP. There's not going to be safe W keying. So that just kind of unfortunate, like take it as you will, right? But um, even without that, you have window up. You don't actually really need to W key. Where are they going to retreat to? Certainly not here. Like because that's still in window LOS. They're actually going to probably try and loop into here. So in that case, I'd actually rather have you just double back this way and shoot at these guys, which coincidentally would have actually avoided the EMP for you too. So once again, off angle. That off angle is where you're going to get the real juice happening, rather than trying to stack and rush on your Orisa. And unfortunately, backline gets split by dragons and EMP'd and stuff, and that just tacos sometimes. So from here, this is when you would basically just be like, oh yeah, maybe just feed here for reset, and also maybe to just give your team a little bit of cover because everybody got EMP'd, and you're basically going to lose regardless unless someone clutches up, and your snipers would need a lot of like free space to work with and attention off of them if they were going to clutch. Obviously, it's not necessarily like the mindset that you're going through in this live situation, but basically it would be expected EMP. We haven't seen it in a while. Play in a place where we can uncommit, so to speak. I would spy check up there if I were you, but well, if I were you, I would probably not be in this situation. I'd probably be feeding my brains out. So kudos on you. But this was good. This was crisp. Good notice on that. I really like forcing point here. I think this is very smart. I think if you double back on their backline up there, that could work well. It's a little dangerous without the angle isolation though. And if you go up here, I don't mind this either if you can knock them out or even just apply some like soft pressure from up here or even like fly up to here and like start poking at them a bit and just harassing. But I think forcing point is a pretty like strong option right now. Once again, can your team do something with this aggro? I know that you will presumably be fine because you have bomb. But you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you need to get bomb to use bomb to get out, even if you have it. Because that tends to be you use the rest of your kit very inefficiently as a result. So for because I talked about this with a Winston player like a month ago or something, but basically whenever they had primal, they would go in super duper ultra aggressive because they had primal, and in the process they would use absolutely wasteful, meaningless bubbles, stupid jumps, and bring attention to themselves when their team couldn't capitalize on it. And like that's I don't know if that's your logic here, but basically, like treat it like you don't have your ult up here. And I know that like sometimes might be a handicap, especially because sometimes you do need that extra aggro that you can afford with the ult. But that doesn't mean that you should just go feed because you have ult and like blow off being able to use your normal kit effectively. Because obviously, as you know, D.Va has a lot of value in the neutral. Because you're getting attention here, which is valuable. This is not like a wasteful thing. You're getting the attention of three people, but then who's following up on this? Orisa, and that's it. You're maybe cutting off support from these two, but they're kind of a self-functioning angle anyways. So unless your team is like really wanting to push this, you're not actually getting much done up here. Yeah, and you're forced to bomb. It doesn't really do anything. But now you're on the angle and it like cleared that out. Good cleanup. Is this really that valuable? Can your team? Nah, your team can a little bit. But either way, still didn't really need to pursue this. They have a ball with them, they have a brig. Like it's like, well, what's more valuable? Picking off an out of position Hanzo immediately and dying as a trade, even if you did pick him off, or just letting him go because you won the fight anyways and don't actually need to fight for this space yet. Because like it's just free ult charge for them, and I don't know if the Hanzo already had his ult or not. I wasn't really watching that, but obviously D.Va's going to be much harder on this map stage because it's so much harder to close the distance. Does good matrix, or at least decent in terms of what you're looking to cover for. They used rally up here. Why are we engaging this? Just pull back, right? They have an Ashe up here, but you can LOS the Hanzo, which already is going to be cutting a huge portion of their DPS down. So if you just like hunker down right here, like here, etc., and team just pulls back, that rally is going to be so worthless. You could basically just negate its whole value. And I believe you pull back a bit here, but just not as fast as I would like. Yeah, and then the ball goes into aggro and you finish him off, which was fantastic. I know you're waiting to go up checking the window, like you really want that. Check, check, check. Can team do stuff with this? Probably, right? They're starting to play up. It'll at least help your backline rotate for sure. But you don't want to trade for it for sure. It's like this is good. This is good because you're managing your matrix very well. You're able to absorb the vast majority of this damage. But that scared me. I don't think you needed to charge in there. I think you should have just dropped instead of charging. Because I know you wanted to like buy a little more time for like the having that angle cleared, but pushing them back. But they're both really mobile heroes. You're not going to be clearing them off for that much. And your life is much, much more important. And even just by extending that distance to cover for you by even just like a couple seconds, oh my gosh, the level of threat you put yourself in. That was good. Using the short sight line, yep. This is good aggro. Very good aggro. Why? Team, investing. You, nanoed and ready to like go ham. Team is looking to play aggressively and has the capability to do so. And this attention becomes something that's actually meaningful. And then this is when you want to use bomb to go in aggro, right? Because your team is able to take advantage of all that attention you're dragging in, and you use the rest of your kit effectively too to dive and get stuff done a little bit beforehand and not that. And that this was a sick bonk. Very nice. And done and dusted. All in all, very good. But that aggro. And like we'll see this as a trend as we keep going through the VOD. Right now, your team is probably just like you're kind of just spamming for question mark ult charge, mostly just to keep them at an arm's distance. I actually, I mean, I personally prefer actually playing for this spam angle through the doorways and like a little closer to here rather than at this full arm's reach. Because once their team is a little closer, like here, your team doesn't get as much useful angles from here. Like this is really an angle that I like to use if you're a DPS or here, or like here. Like right, you just don't have many angles opened up if you're trying to invest resources into holding them here. So I think I would rather just have you wait a little bit more on that commitment. And yeah, you're trading resources, so it's like kind of whatever. But you've already used like, you've used both your cooldowns, uh, chunking your shield, etc., for space that your team doesn't really need yet. This angle I very much like, right? And it's good because they don't have a Sombra. They don't have dive heroes. Realistically, they're not going to be rushing you. So you can stay up on this angle for quite a while because Sigma is a great matchup into poke. I think this angle is fantastic It stops the cart in this place that is useful for your team, right? DPS have good sight lines on it. Dap, Orisa have good sight lines. Orisa can stay at her cover while stalling it, etc., etc. You have cover. Beautiful. And you can kind of just chill there because your team isn't like doing anything. And the reason that this aggro is okay is because first of all you still have cover, so you're not like irredeemably going in, and also it would be if your team is looking to play aggressively and pinch them in that room. And you're able to get massive ult charge, of course, from here, which is phenomenal. But now this is when things are getting a little dicey because you're leaving that cart cover, and your Orisa is not, in fact, looking to commit in. So you do have to be careful here if you're caught out, because it's all too common as Sigma to feel invincible here until you realize you're out of resources. Good escape. No reason to get that like this close. You could like, do you need this room? Do you need to kill the Sigma? Absolutely not, right? And your team isn't looking to push them aggressively either. By going here, if their team plays up at all, you're actually putting yourself in a pretty dangerous pinch between the Sigma and long range hit scans and Hanzos and stuff in main. And I don't recommend that. This is like you're managing this very well, and this is good aggro because your team is following you and your team was in position. Like they saw you going in here. And this is why I say it's like not always bad to go in aggro, right? Because your team was in position to, even if they weren't actually at the moment. And I don't know if you called for it, but either way, your team is following you and setting up map control. They have this pinch getting set up. And that makes this very, very good. So you're gonna see me flip-flopping a lot, obviously, between this good and bad, but yeah, beautiful flux. Absolutely beautiful flux. You love to see it. Man, I wish I had mechanics like that. Um, I don't think it has to be one person initiating the aggro, Elendil. I think main tank often, yeah, it's gonna be whoever can, basically. Because once someone has the opportunity to create aggro in a way that they're not gonna instantly blow up if it doesn't go well, then everybody else can kind of like gradually build up pace, right? Like you're not going 0 to 60 in 1 second and instantly going in inting. You have someone like our Sig here go in towards like here and start to push the aggro a bit because they saw an opportunity for it, but they're still in like a vaguely non-committal position that still would give them some safety. And then here, our tanks and stuff see that and they start pushing in with us. I think that the main tank is usually best for initiating aggro because they're best equipped to handle enemy attention. So generally, they're the best at surviving that initial aggro and giving the rest of the team the opportunity to build up to speed, so to speak. But it could be someone like Tracer, it could be someone like Sombra, someone like Sig, honestly, too. I just don't recommend it being, yeah, basically, yeah. You take a small step and check if team follows, or team starts to take small steps and you follow. Yep, exactly. And maybe other people have different philosophies on this. That is my kind of philosophy and stance on it personally. I think it's okay to be initiating aggro on Sigma and stuff and off tanks, but you have to be very careful that you're putting in a position that you will have your team taking those small steps and having your team and having you in a position that you won't get blown up if your team doesn't take those small steps. No. In team play, you still do this. It's just that you can communicate it better. So usually you can play with a lot less hesitance. Ladder play, you kind of have to do this like guesswork dance, so you have to play it a lot more tentatively. But yeah, it can also be spontaneous, like GCO said. Because like everything is to a degree improvisation. You're not going to discuss every single thing in team play. I don't mind this. Your team has a huge like poke advantage and stuff, and you can kind of just hammer them. I think this is good to double back and make sure that they don't get the angle here. Next part was kind of uneventful. There's some good spawn camping here. You played this part pretty well from what I remember. I'm glad that you're keeping eyes on the left entrance, of course, too, and playing at the off angle from your tanks. And this is kind of like a thing of just die there because there's no way out. But I want to note, like, this is kind of just an unfortunate thing, but it can kind of come from that disconnect in terms of mentality of what your team's looking to do. Because if I were your team, I would almost rather just all have everyone like brawl in and commit to the death here once they use supercharger and nano, because now they chose to kite back and you're just left there in the no man's land alone. And I don't think your team survives this. Maybe I'm wrong, but they're just staggering from what I can feel from it. But who knows? Maybe they get the kite back. Yeah, okay, so two of them do not, at the very least. I don't have an issue with stacking here because your team is just playing for durability. I, it's unfortunate that that didn't work. I think it was worth the shot. I think if you wanted to like really nitpick your execution on this, you have basically no reason to brawl in here. Your team cannot support that level of aggression right now. You're down a support. You only have one DPS, if I remember right. Hanzo's dead, right? Yeah, Hanzo is or Soldier. Soldier's dead. Can't support this aggression. You should just be here poking, even maybe here poking. You absolutely cannot be brawling in here and giving up your angle isolation and cover. Because if you went for that same flux from right here, you would be completely safe. And your team, and you probably would have clutched the fight, if in all honesty. Or even if you used it now and backed up to there. Because I think this is still tall enough that you still would have survived the high noon even with him raised up. So it's unfortunate, but that's like what that aggro treats you. And now this is one where your team is in positions for that aggro, right? They're aggressive enough, but you don't have enough team resources or teammates to do it. Whoa. What is this? Oh my gosh, Mercy. She has got a magnum. Anyways, yeah, your team just could not support that level of like brief aggro looking to brawl in. Like here, sorry, I just had to address a message there real quick. Here, you kind of have to consider where your team is looking to play and what angles are important here. This, I think it's cool that you're doubling down on the SIG, but I would actually rather have you make sure that this angle is first safe and actually even rotate out to here so that you're not in the middle, because your angle isolation once again here is putting you in major threat Because if this Hanzo, or sorry, Widow, rounds the corner, hits the shot on you, plus the Orisa plus Sig, that's not going to go well. Like you cast Lamp, or like the team had to use Lamp there, it took all your shield, all your cooldowns. This is 4.5k. Basically on the nose. This, I think, is pretty good. Once again, I think I would have liked you to actually just push out this angle first. But obviously, the Orisa isn't looking to really play split on you. And you're able to just pound these squishies for free right now. So that's why it's not really an issue. But yeah, I've heard that high ranks are getting pretty interesting these days from like all the streamers are like, wow, it's a mess right now. Did you slip off or did you actually jump off? Either way, no reason to drop there. Oh, kind of got stunned and lost the momentum. Why are you playing steps up when you have 0 cooldowns? That's scaring me. This is good. Unfortunate that you assumed that the cast didn't see you, but still very good because you have angle isolation. Woo! See? Angle isolation keeps you safe. Yeah, quality is 100% declining. Mostly, I think, just because people are just trying not as hard as they used to. Like, I don't think the players are declining in quality, so to speak, exactly. I mean, maybe as a couple of them leave, or probably more than a couple. But people are just taking it less seriously, I think. Yeah, probably also due to less players overall, but who knows. Very good. Very good. And like you're just like dominating here on the angle. And that is what Sig really excels at. This is nice. Good non-committal stuff, good poke, good vibing. Yeah, basically. This is another moment that I'm talking about here. You have your BAP with you, but your team is in zero way, shape, or form prepared to go in for an aggro. So you're taking a 2v3, 4, 5, 6 here. And I just want you to like realize that here going in. You're going in way too deep when you could have just poked at them from here, used flux from here. You should not be going in that deep, even if you are looking for the flux here. And you get the flux, and it works. I do not like it. I think you could have executed that flux play in a much safer manner. I don't actually like this position much because it's just not that useful. I know this might seem like a little sacrilegious because a lot of people like this position. I think it's stronger for like an independent hero, like a Diva, DPS, Sun Tracer or something, or like a soldier. And it's nice because you deny this from the enemies. But you can actually also just deny them that from on the staircase here while also having eyes down there. And also being able to bounce off corners here. Or you can literally just play here and look, you have eyes on the staircase, you have eyes on there, and eyes out here. So, and you have a kite back path to your team. So the problem here that you're going to see is that you get really split from your horse. And while a lot of the times that's okay, you're not going to be able to like you're not going to be able to really I mean, the enemy team has like loaded ults here, and your team has very few ults, so you're probably gonna lose like anyways on this fight. But she is just left out in the open, and we're slowly getting split further and further apart. I mean, I don't mind having the BAP with the SIG, as long as he has sightlines on the main tank, just because the BAP can frag out a lot, so a lot of times he actually will like to be on the angle, and the SIG can still give him a little bit of safety with that, while the Orisa just like can handle the anchoring and aggro. So as long as you have sightlines, that's fine. But then the problem that you'll see here is, first of all, we're split here, so there's no going back. We cannot get back to the team. There's no repositioning. We're in this fight to win now or lose. Um, yeah, but really it doesn't matter that much. Like it matters much less than you would think who is with who. Usually you would put the main support with the SIG, specifically actually because SIG requires more peel and main supports are more self-sufficient. Or I mean, sorry, yeah, the main supports are more self-sufficient. So if you're getting dove on or something as a SIG, it's going to be hard to protect a BAP. I mean, BAP is pretty durable, which is why it matters less. But like an Ana or a Zen, it'll be kind of hard as opposed to if they were with the main tank who can pretty easily absorb a lot of pressure. But then, like in a lot of situations, you can kind of flop it around and it'll still work out. So like right now, we're forced to drop here because our front line is taking so much aggro. The Orisa should have dropped. There's zero reason she should be up here. But that's just an unfortunate fact of life. Like Widow has a great sight line. Who knows what Soldier was doing. But like we don't have ults, so our goal should just be probably int and hope to get some ults out. And I believe we do that. Yeah. So we got out 3 of their ults. I I don't know if I actually love looking to close out the fight here, but obviously I think it's fine. And that, by the way, that was really good. The dip there, and like you're just um go get him attitude, for lack of better words. That was good. And then I'm glad that you didn't pursue that and instead doubled back for the point presence. So like this is what I was saying. Like yeah, there was a lot less diva here, but you diva. I just want to like I compliment that. That was quite good. But like I think you can probably see though the kind of stuff that I was talking about though here with you, or talking to viewers here now who then maybe you'll see it in the replay later after I upload it. But that aggro management and looking to play according to your team's aggro looks like something that you need a lot of work on because your mechanics, of course, were very strong. Your ability usage, for the most part, was very strong, and all that good stuff. But it just really, you're really holding yourself back, I think, in terms of your potential by not exercising that little bit of more discipline and almost hesitance when it comes to looking to really make plays. Like you need some time. Like you gotta stop forcing it quite so much. Like I think I'll leave it at that because I don't want to just like keep rambling on and on. And I think I've explained it well enough. But of course, if you have any questions on this, um, you can comment it on the video. You can DM them to Cease. You can DM them to me or message me on Twitter or whatever. I don't care. Server, etc. Um, but I'm down to answer any questions you might have on the VOD here or anything that I said in it. I'm down to review future VODs. I always enjoy high level play, so always cool to see. Thank you for the follow, Nonkel Bob. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm gonna go that much further today because I hit my two things because I started early. I think either my options are I don't have commands. I'm sorry. Because my channel is super scuffed because I'm scuffed. It's depressing. I really need to like figure out how to add Nightbot in or something. Like I don't know. If anyone knows how to do that, like let me know. Give me some instruction manual or something because I most certainly do not. I don't know. I can either hmm, I want to look back on one quick VOD moment from something that I did on Cassidy that I want to kind of highlight on the aggro stuff because I think I handled it pretty well. I mean, maybe my hindsight memory isn't that great, but um, I think it can highlight a little bit of what we were talking about. So I'm actually going to watch this from the overhead. Or, well, no, we can watch it from my POV for a bit. This is just mid plat, obviously, which is very different standard than high ranks. But I think it shows some of that aggro matching. So here, tank line's looking to play up. I'm going to need to break in. Diced. Tanks are going to need to stabilize. They don't bother to, so I don't bother to stabilize either. And like you'll kind of see, it's like I know this is like my Zarya is playing up, I play up, etc. And I know this is easier to say as a DPS because it's easier as a DPS to be following the tanks than to be leading it because the tanks generally will take a more active role, even the off tank, in terms of leading that aggro. But you can match it on support, you can match it on DPS, you can match it on any role. And this is why you always have this kind of symbiotic relationship of the main tanks will be watching the other people and the other people will be watching the main tanks because the main tank is that main initiator. But as a whole, that actually needs to be something that all the roles are doing. Like I need to be watching my Zarya, Zarya needs to be watching me, etc. Back and forth, back and forth. And unfortunately in ladder, you won't actually be able to like like they won't be watching you, but you can at least be watching them. Here, I'm not looking to commit in, which is why I didn't go for any more shots on the Ash and stuff there. But I was able to just lightly poke in because my tank lines is starting to push in and draw some aggro. Once again, just some poke. Not getting too aggro. Now I'm expecting that my tank line is going to be going in aggressive here. My Lucio does such a good job following me on here. And I'm looking for the big play. Can team follow up? Yeah, they're a little far. But so this was arguably done a little too early. But I wanted it. I wanted the greed. And I believe I die here for it, maybe. Yeah, I die for it, but I still obviously trade in for a ton of damage, ton of attention, ton of kills, and my team did follow me in afterwards. So like here, you can watch it from the overhead. And this was just the one part that I wanted to show. My Ryan can literally just balls to the walls charge in here to close the distance, which would normally be a feed. They have Brig, they have Rock, they have Sleep, they have May, they have everyone. But because I'm sitting here drawing in so much attention with the high noon and with the speed boost in, like these guys can int in, and Zarya is able to just play in super aggro here too, and suddenly the enemy team is in shambles. So it's kind of like I mean, obviously I'm not a perfect player. I'm so far from it. But hopefully this kind of helps illustrate a little more of like what that will look like. Because I'm not saying that you don't go for aggro plays, but you're doing it when the team can actually access that value from it, even if you are trading. Um, I guess what to do, what to do. I'm supposed to be here until for 20 more minutes, 15 minutes. Well, if any of you guys has a replay that you want me to look at for a little bit or something, feel free to throw it down. Any questions, whatever, feel free. I'm just gonna play some quick play in the meanwhile, so I can leave if one of you guys wants that. Feel free to head out or whatever if you need or if you want. Uh, my scheduled stuff is done. Now it's just normal office hours and me trying to be available. I've been working on a guide for a couple days now called wow, that was sucky. Called Breaking Bronze, and I'm trying to like make a guide to help like the absolute like the super new players and the bronze players because I realized with like my fundamentals guide and stuff, obviously that's only very like useful to people once you reach like a certain level of game awareness. And I thought it might be kind of cool to give like a little bit of instructional tip stuff on like kind of reaching the point where that becomes useful. But it feels a little weird though, because a lot of it is just rehashing because people say the things that are most useful to bronze players all the time, like use cover, check kill feed, etc. But I don't know, maybe it'll be helpful, maybe not, we'll see. Oh yeah, and if you guys know like high rank players like Masters Plus, I don't know if Tricia, if you've like met some more up there or really anyone, but like I would love to get my hands on more high rank player VODs. Obviously, main support is my weakest, as Tricio knows, but just in general, basically any VOD I'm happy for because my replay viewer for Overwatch League is broken on this computer, and I haven't figured out quite how to make it stop having errors yet. So I'm kind of starving a little bit for replays, especially considering that I really want to start crunching more analysis now. Oh hell yeah. Screw you. Let me get in on that. Let's go. Who should we watch today? Do you want you watched or should we just watch a random person? I'm game for whatever. We'll probably only get through one round of it because I'm probably gonna head out around in 15 minutes or whatever. But hell yeah, I am hyped. I'll start with overhead until we decide if we want to look at an individual. Oh, I like this rush down from blue. That is really sharp. That was clean. That was a really good wall from the May. I haven't. I'm a little tempted to watch the Red Tracer just because I've been watching a ton of Tracer VODs recently. But I don't know. Ana could be cool too, or BAP. I've done some BAP though. Hmm, I'll do Tracer. We'll take the red team perspective. I like this angle a lot. They're gonna have to watch the commitment though. Yeah, there's just some like poking. Nice circle. I think they actually probably want to force point soon. Yeah, this is really good from them. Because right now, with blue team so moved up over there, they're going to have to cross these long sight lines. So if Winston just stays here, this could get really good for red. He also could jump here, but if like under the moment of the jump, things could get really sweaty. But right now, they are so pinned down by this Widowmaker. Like unless May snipes them, Widowmaker basically is just like hard restricting their movement across here. So they really, that's why after going around here to clear out the people, you probably want to double down back to main or back to hotel because that gives you more agency for shutting down people coming into the angles on the ground. But yeah, very good from Tracer. Pretty good rotation. Mm, I like this. I think it's good that red is playing it slow. Mm, going in a little greedy. But I'm curious how they caught up to Lucio here. Because Lucio should not have been caught by that, whatever it was. Yeah, kind of just an unfortunate hit there. Because from here, like the thing is red is basically restricted. Like they need the map control to win these. Because just a piece of the VOD, Tricia. Because Nonkel here had another like a 4.5-ish VOD here for me, another one. So which I because I was hungry for VODs, and I committed to like I like to try and give like an actual hour of time. So if you have questions, of course, obviously I'm just here to answer, but it's kind of just a first come first serve thing on these office hours. Every Tuesday I just sit here for like an hour or so. But yeah, I'm just looking at the tracer on it for fun. Hmm. Ooh, wait, I don't like this. This is yeah, no. Okay, they back out. Uh, ooh, this is good. Nice. That was a really clean nade from the Ana. Hell no, I don't want to see your ugly DPS off roll VOD. I have my own ugly 2.7k DPS off roll VODs. And honestly, we should queue together double DPS sometime just to, mess around and get rolled. My tracer is pretty sick now, I won't lie. Dear me, you don't want to see the legendary anima pop off? Tragic, tragic. Yeah, I don't blame you though with Overwatch 2 coming out. It's like, yeah, okay, I feel you there. Yeah, our Tracer really pinned themselves down there. They should not be in main here, even though their team is kind of vibing and they're on point. I like that they're pushing cart, but as soon as this happens, instead of being here, we should be blinking to here. Or even like a double blink to here would actually be acceptable too. Because if we want to win this at all, our Tracer needs to be on the map control. And we actually have Pulse Bomb, so we probably shouldn't even be the person on cart. That should probably be our Lucio or Ana. Because we don't have Nade, we don't have Beat yet. And like, yeah, we'll have them soon. Or honestly, you could even have our Winston on cart, but I don't think he's going to accept that as an answer. I like what the enemy Rhino's been doing. He's been sharp. Same with the Diva. That is an Overwatch moment if I've ever seen one. That, my friends, is why you roll out your top right. Chaser moment. Man, that it's so much funnier when you watch it happen to someone else instead of when it happens to you. And then they learn their lesson. Hmm. I don't think they should drop here because all the attention is going to be directed through here. They probably actually should have dropped to here because this, they could just blink back if they start taking heat and actually circle around here and look for pulse. And either way, they'll probably get a lot more opportunity than by doubling back on their back line. It's actually kind of strange. So DP talked about this in a recent thing that he posted on his YouTube channel. But a lot of the times, the answer when your backline is getting pressured a lot is going to just be like W key in, both on the backline and on the front line. Because if you roll them faster than they roll you, you'll be all good. Oh, get him. Get him. No way. Oh my gosh. Reflect is nasty. Almost took the 2v1. Now I don't mind pushing card because we don't have pulse bomb. So we're not really going to be looking to take as much of an active part in this fight. Hmm. I kind of wish we could have had a little more map control going in. I think it's probably good to just pull back for the moment and then wrap around left instead. But not too bad. I think that was a good disengage. I think we're probably going to rather look for trading backline rather than trying to check their tracer. Ooh, yeah, that is good. No, why did you give up on the BAP? Do not give up on the BAP. Give up on the card. Stop playing card. Go for the BAP. Oh my gosh, this Winston is buying our tracers so much space, and it's just they just did nothing with it. They just ignored all of the heat that was on the backline, like on the Cass, on the BAP, even on the Rhine. That was unfortunate. Mhm. I assume we're looking for a pulse on the Cass. I like this. Wait till Winston engages. You know, I don't blame you. Kind of reckless. I honestly looked like my pulse bombs. I'm very, very bad with pulse bombs. Like it's probably my biggest weakness on Tracer. There's no way we win this fight, right? Does our Rhine just in? Yeah, no, there's no way we win this. Yeah, okay. No clutch out. Oh wait. How did they? What rotation did they take here? They should have just done the Great Bamboozle real quick. This is a pretty goated rotation though. I'm just gonna watch like a speed overhead here since stream is coming to a close. Ryan got really sloppy and greedy. They should not have been trying to push the I don't know what Cass was trying to do over there. He doesn't want that range bracket anyways. Like like he's like looking for the tracer, but who cares if the tracer's here, right? Like let them come to you. You don't care. Like you don't have to go to them. Don't isolate yourself against the dive comp. They should just roll through here or wipe out the Zarya, push her out, wipe out the Ana. If one of them drops outside Arch, then you just drop down and go through Arch again, and then you're on top of their backline. I don't know if there was shot calling here on the blue team to like go do this or whatever, but absolutely could have been. Fortunately, they still have enough brawling power to push people out and like hold this space, but now it'll just be harder to time because they can just rush the front line like they did and put a lot of heat on them. But pretty good from blue. Oh my gosh, that Ashe is a menace. I'm actually surprised that blue didn't win that. Does blue manage? I guess blue does manage to cap. Like it's an 80 due to Winston going into aggro. But who wins? Now I just need to know that before I turn off stream for the day. Because now I've hit my time. Ooh, that was a huge shatter. Blue should win this. All they have to do is push the Zarya, and they should win. Because if they take her out early, like with like a bomb or something, if they just force bubble and hit a bomb into the T, I'm pretty sure this fight clutches. It'll be tense, of course, because they landed a nade on our back line, or on Blue's back line. Or Lucio kind of fed. Zarya's on the angle. Yeah, the red has too much map control. As they say, unlucky. Unless? No, yeah, no, there's no way. Right? Ah, it doesn't actually show. I'll never know. It should be red though. Anyways, I thank you for the VOD. I'll probably actually look like a couple more of the other heroes on my own time since all of that is cool stuff to watch. It was actually a really interesting VOD to watch with all the rotations that blue team was hitting and against the dive matchup from red. So I appreciate that. And thank you, GCO, for stopping by. Thank you, Nuncle, for stopping by. And of course, everybody else. And yeah, I'll be heading out. And with that, uh, stream is end. Hope to see you all again next week or whenever. See ya.